If you have seen some of my videos, you may have noticed that I use Chromium. And you may have asked yourself, why? Because when it comes to software, Chromium may be one of the most bloated pieces of software that exists. Like, period. And I think the question of web browsers is always a pretty, I don't know, burning one, you could say, in like the free software kind of space. Or especially the like minimalist kind of like space, because there really is no good minimalist web browser. And I think there's a very clear reason for this, and this is kind of what I want to talk about in this video, because there can't be, because the web is not a minimalist format. It doesn't allow for minimalist software, but it needs maximalist software like Chromium, for example. So I use Google Chromium, and I think this is the best web browser, like, period. In my experience, all these, like Firefox and all its clones, like LibreWolf and IceCat and stuff like that, I mean, I've used that in the past, but it's always kind of, it always gets in your way, very much, with just using the web normally as is. And yeah, I think that's my whole point, really. And with, I mean, I've tried to use Surf, like the suckless software Surf, and I think nowadays it's very outdated and doesn't really work anymore, at least the last time I tried it, because I tried it on this X100 and it just didn't work at all. And yeah, I mean, not at all, but it didn't really work, like, practically. And it's really a shame, of course. But at the same time, it kind of isn't, because if you want to use the web like normally as you're used to, well, normally as you're used to, like, meaning, like, if some normie uses the web and you want to use it as they do, so you want to be able to visit any website and just have it work as intended, you need to use what the website is built for. And websites are built for mainstream browsers, and that means, and I mean, Chromium is the most, you could say, the most mainstream browser, because Google very much is on control of most of the web, you could say. So they really kind of decide the direction, or they have a, let's just say they have a very big influence on the direction the internet is heading towards. And I mean, not really, because it's all a technical process. So Google is only in a position to make technical decisions. They can't make a untechnical decision, so they don't have any meaningful freedom in the direction they want to go into, or they want to move the web into, because again, it's a very technical thing. But yeah, so that's pretty much the main point I wanted to make in this video, that the web is a maximalist format and thus needs a maximalist browser, and any attempt to like kind of boil it down to a minimalist standard are doomed to fail, in my opinion, because yeah, that's just not how it works. But I want to also give a, like, something I have been recently like thinking and reading about, like a kind of solution to this problem, because the solution, of course, is to have a minimalist format. And the minimalist kind of consensus that I've been reading about is Gemini. So if I switch to this other workspace I have a Emacs window open running Alpha, so that's a Emacs package, and I'm on the Project Gemini homepage. And Gemini is, like the web, a format, you could say, or a, I mean, we can just read the introduction, is a new internet technology supporting an electronic library of interconnected text documents. Okay, so this is what the web also is in theory, but in practice, of course, it's what much more. So Gemini really constrains itself to having simple text documents, and that's all it is. So it's really about reading. Of course, you can link like static files, so for example images or videos or PDFs, like any kind of file, of course, but you can't embed them in the document itself. And also, for example, it has restrictions like this, so you can't have links in the text itself, but the links are always on a new line prefixed with an arrow key. Also, you only have a few different headings, so you have, I think, H1 through 3, if I'm not mistaken, and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, Gemini seems like and Gemini is of course heavily inspired by Gopher, which is a older protocol, I think, which emerged at the same time the normal web we know and love here so much also emerged. And it's really a kind of a more modern spin, more modern take on it. And yeah, I mean, this video is not supposed to be about Gemini or Gopher or any alternative to the web. I just want to make this point that the problem with web browsers nowadays is not that they are bloated, like that they are bloated piece of software. The problem is rather that they are trying to solve a bloated problem. If that makes sense. So they are a tool to a problem, okay, but if you now complain about the tool, well, this web browser is so bloated, and oh, look at Chromium, oh, it's so big and it takes up 100,000 gigabytes of RAM and whatnot. I mean, yeah, but the problem is really that the thing is trying to solve, the web, and that the web can do or tries to do everything. Like that the web tries to be a like, how could you say, a universal format, for anything. That is really, I think, the problem. And everything that comes after that, like for example, web browsers, are just, I mean, these are just symptoms. So I think the solution is not in trying to build a minimalist web browser, but rather in just switching the protocol, in just kind of laying, how could you say, about like drawing lines in the sand about, okay, what do we want to achieve here? And if what we want to achieve is to have or to build a lightweight online space where documents are just documents in the interests of every reader's privacy, attention, and bandwidth, then I think one shouldn't use the web or try to fix it. But one should rather just move somewhere else. So yeah, I think that's pretty much that's all I really wanted to say. So that's my main point, and that's why, like, videos about what is the best web browser? Oh, look at my minimalist web browser setup are kind of like very much miss the point. They're trying to fix a problem that can't be fixed. Yeah. So I would urge you, if you are kind of trying to kind of beat the web through using a minimalist web browser or something like that, I would urge you to, well, I don't want to urge you to anything. Do whatever you want. Of course, do what you think is right. But for me, in my like kind of life and all that, and also in like what I do, like web dev and stuff like that, Chromium is just the best choice, and I'm very grateful that ungoogled Chromium exists and is as good as it is and as up to date as it is and all that. Because yeah, with ungoogled Chromium you get all the plus of Chromium. Well, plus in a literal sense, because it's very huge and bloated, of course, but also plus in like in a usage sense, because again the web is bloated. So, but with all the Google stuff removed, so with all the tracking and all the privacy stuff and all the annoying stuff. So yeah, I think it's kind of the best thing you can do for the web nowadays. So okay, that's pretty much all of it. All I wanted to say. I might do a video in the future about Gemini. I might also do a video about installing ungoogled Chromium on Alpine, because it's not that easy actually. And I've kind of, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say hacked it together, because I haven't. I just used, so spoiler for a possible future video, I used Debian, if you know that. It's a package manager that serves statically linked binaries. And for example, also app images. So it's about you download a binary and just run that without having to install any other dependencies. And that's what I use for example, ungoogled Chromium on Alpine. And it works great. All right. So yeah, I think this video was long enough. And yeah, that's it. Have a nice day.